الله فيكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده، حمدا نستشعر به كل نعمة أنعمها بها علينا من نعم الإيمان ونعم القرآن ونعمة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم.
So he begins by saying, Alhamdulillah, a praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a praise that correspondent and sufficient to give thanks for this great blessing. He says a praise word by which is that we are extremely grateful for the immense blessing of faith and of the Quran and of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وكرم على سيدنا محمد نوره الساري ومدده الجاري وعلى آله وأصحابه واجمعنا به في كل أطوار وأطوارنا.
And so may the prayers and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who is Nurik al-Sari, your traveling light, wa Madik al-Jari, and your flowing spiritual sustenance, and upon his family and companions, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to gather us with him in all of the different stages of our life, and upon his family and companions.
أما بعد فقد مر بنا في الدرس الأول عن معنى التصوف وأنه علم تتلقاه القلوب وأنه علم لا علم جدل.
And so we spoke in the first class about the definition of Tassawwuf, Sufism, and how it is a knowledge that is experienced in the heart and is actualized within, and how it is not a knowledge that should be used for any type of debate or argumentation.
نتعرف من خلال هذا الكتاب صفات أو سمات أو أخلاقيات أرباب هذا العلم.
We learn through this work the traits, the characteristics, the character traits of the true people of this knowledge.
لماذا نتعلم ذلك؟
Why do we learn this?
حتى نعلم أن هذا هو الحق وأنهم على حق.
So that we know that this is the truth and they are upon the truth.
ثم بعد ذلك أن نعمل أن نتخلق بأخلاقهم.
And then secondly, that strive our best to make the reality of this science a part of us.
فإذا تخلقنا بأخلاقهم نسأل الله عز وجل أن يلحقنا بهم.
And that when we do our best to take on their traits, that then we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us to be from them.
هم قوم اصطنعهم الله لنفسه.
They are people whom Allah created for His self.
وجعلهم مصنوعين على عينه.
And that He created them completely under His supervision.
مراعين منذ طفولتهم.
There are people that He has they are people that He has taken care of from the time that they were young.
تحبهم كل المخلوقات.
As that they are people that everything in creation loves them.
فلا تتعجب أن تجدهم محبوبون في السماء قبل الأرض.
So don't be amazed when you come to know that they are actually loved in the heavens before they are even loved here on earth.
ما أصل هذا العلم؟
What is the source or foundation of this knowledge?
هذا ما سنسمعه من كلام شيخنا حبيب عمر.
This is what we're going to hear now from our teacher, Sayyid Habib Umar. So we're going to just read through the English, and then the Habib's going to commentate. So Bismillah, this is the first trait, which is knowledge of the book and the Sunnah. This is the foundation of Sufism. Without it, there absolutely could not possibly be excellent action in the taking on of the characteristics pursuant with the address of Allah and His Messenger. Rather, there could not possibly be any action or taking on of characteristics, much less doing so with excellence, much less to attaining spiritual experience and having realization in it. It suffices to know that there would not exist within the Ummah today any sound chain of transmission, sanad, that is connected to any of the recitations of the Quran or any of the ways of the exegesis of the companions or the followers, nor any authoritative and well-known books of exegesis from the 3rd Hijri century onward, nor any hadith from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nor any book of the Sunnah that is authoritative, such as the Muwatta of Imam Malik and the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, the 2 books of Sahih and the 4 books of the Sunnah and others, nor any book of understanding the purified Sharia, fiqh, by the authoritative Imams of the 4 schools, except that they were passed down by the people of Sufism. This is a reality that cannot be denied, and a clear and decisive proof that the people of Tassawwuf were the bearers and protectors of the knowledge of the Book and Sunnah, and of implementing and understanding the purified Sharia. Imam Abdul Karim al-Qushayri in his Risala quotes Imam al-Junayd, who says, "Whoever does not memorize the generous Quran and does not write down hadith, do not follow him regarding this affair, because our knowledge is bound by the Book and the Sunnah." He also mentions in his Risala with his Sinad back to Imam al-Junayd that he said, "This way of ours is bound by the principles of the Book and Sunnah." He also said, "This knowledge of ours is constructed upon the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam." The first quote of Imam al-Junayd was mentioned by Imam Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali in his work, illustrating the virtues of the righteous, of the knowledge of the predecessors over the knowledge of the successors, and by the great Imam Abul Faraj ibn al-Jawzi in his book, The Trickery of Satan. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Whomever Allah wills good for, He grants him understanding in religion." Imam Abu Bakr al-Adni ibn Abdullah al-Aiduru said, "I see the paths of realization, few are those who travel them, and every ignorant person has appeared without anything to even claim. Without knowledge and action, impossible it is to ascend its ranks." And Imam Abdul Rahman ibn Muhammad Al-Saqqaf said, "All knowledge without action is meaningless. All knowledge and action without intention is worthless. All knowledge, action, and intention not in accordance with the Sunnah is rejected. All knowledge, action, and intention in accordance with the Sunnah but without scrupulousness is loss. And it is feared for the person that at the time of compensation and weighing that they will come to nothing."
التصوف ليس فقط مستنده الكتاب والسنة، بل الكتاب والسنة يوضحان أن الإيمان والإسلام والإحسان من غير هذه الروح يعتبر العبد ليس كامل العبودية لله تبارك وتعالى.
So Sufism is not only founded upon the book and Sunnah, but when we speak of our deen in its entirety at the level of Iman, Islam, and Ihsan, without this science, is that it is like that something that exists without a spirit.
أهل التصوف من خلال هذا الخطاب أولا يبنون عباداتهم على اتباع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
The people of Tassawwuf, as we will learn from this book, build all of their acts of worship upon the following of the Sunnah.
اتباع ممزوج بالأدب.
A following of the Prophet that is mixed with adab, etiquette.
اتباع ممزوج بالتعظيم.
A following that is combined with exaltation.
اتباع ممزوج بالمحبة.
A following that is combined with love.
كثيرون يقولون نحن نتبع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
There are many that say that we follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
لكن إذا فتشت في عباداتهم فلا تجد فيها أدب.
But if you look carefully at how they worship, you don't find proper adab.
لا تجد فيها تعظيم.
You don't find that proper exaltation.
لا تجد فيها عبودية.
You don't find true servitude.
تجد صورة عبادة بدون عبودية.
That you find the outward form of worship without true servitude.
هناك عبادة وهناك عبد وهناك عبودية.
There is worship, there is the servant, and then there's the state of servitude.
الصلاة عبادة.
That prayer is worship.
والمصلي عبد.
The one who is praying is the servant.
فإذا لم تكن صلة ما بين الصلاة العبادة والعبد والمعبود لم تكن هناك عبودية.
is that if there's not a correct connection between the prayer of the servant and then in relation to our Lord, is that you won't have the desired state of servitude.
فيكون قد صلى شريعة.
So you will see that he outwardly performed to uphold the obligation in the sacred law.
لكنه لم يصلي حقيقة.
But in reality, it is as if he hasn't prayed.
كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ذلك الذي لم يحسن صلاته ارجع فصلي فإنك لم تصلي.
Just as our Prophet said about that man who didn't pray well, is that he told him to go back and pray again because you didn't really pray.
فلذلك جاء خطاب أهل التصوف أن علمهم هذا مبني على الكتاب والسنة.
And this is why is that we find in this knowledge of Tassawwuf is that it is very clear that the foundation of it is the book and the Sunnah.
قال قائلهم وهو الإمام الغزالي إذا رأيتم الرجل يطير في الهواء أو يمشي على الماء فلا تغتروا به حتى ترونه في اتباعه للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And one of them said, in this case Imam al-Ghazali, that if you see someone flying through the air or walking on water, is that look at how they act and see if it follows in accordance with the true following of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
كان أحد المشايخ حبيب بكر المشهور.
One of the teachers of Habib Umar bin Hafiz
يقول عندما كنت صغيرا.
He used to say, he said one time when I was young,
أقيمت الصلاة.
Is that the iqamah was called for prayer.
فقدمني أبي إماما.
And that my father put me forth to lead them in prayer.
فقال فعندما هممت أن أكبر للصلاة.
And when I made the intention I was about to enter into the prayer.
ناداني أبي.
My father called me.
يا أبا بكر.
And he called his name Abu Bakr.
قال تصلي بدون سواك.
He said, are you going to pray without using the siwak?
نسيت سواك. كيف تصلي سواك?
He realized that he did not have his siwak, and his father said, how can you pray without using
كيف تصلي بدون كرر عليه ولامه وعاتبه وأنه ترك شيئا عظيما.
And his father that rebuked him as if he left something that was great.
فقال كيف تصلي بدون سواك؟ أنت لا تصلح أن تكون إماما. ارجع.
He said to him that how can you pray without using the siwak first? He said that you're not ready yet to be imam.
فيقول بعدها صرت أحمل سواكين. واحد في الجبة وواحد في القميص. فإذا نسيتهما في الجبة يكون في القميص موجود.
He said from then on I always carried with me two siwaks. One was in the jubba and the other was in my robe.
احتياط مثل واحد عنده سيارة عنده تاير سبير يعني لابد يكون موجود.
Just the way that someone has spare keys in case they lose their car keys.
إذا ما في إطار كيف يمشي بعدين؟
Is that without that there's no way to start the car.
فلذلك هذا ما تعلمناه من مشايخنا رضي الله تعالى عنهم وأرضاهم في تعظيم سنة النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
He said this is what we learned from our teachers, that how to have proper ta'zeem, to exalt the sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
كما ذكرت لكم اتباع ممزوج بالمحبة والألم والشوق.
And so that's, as I've mentioned, is that we want to follow the Prophet ﷺ combined with a state of love at the heart level and longing and exaltation.
فلذلك عندما نعمل بسنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فإننا نوقن بذلك أن ما وراء السنة أسرارا.
Every time that we implement one of the sunnahs of our Prophet ﷺ, we have absolute certainty that in performing that sunnah outwardly, there are secrets inwardly that we don't know about.
فمن أسرار مثلا الدخول إلى المسجد بالرجل اليمنى والخروج بالرجل اليسرى أو الدخول إلى بيت الخلاء بالرجل اليسرى والخروج بالرجل اليمنى، هذا من اعتاد أو من عمل بهذه السنة مخلصا متبعا من أسباب ثبات القدم على الصراط يوم القيامة.
So an example is one of the secrets of entering into any honorable place with the right foot and exiting with the left foot, entering into a place like a bathroom with the left foot, exiting with the right foot, always that using the right for the honorable and the left for the left for the less honorable. One of the secrets behind fulfilling this sunnah and implementing this sunnah of our Prophet ﷺ is the means for our feet to be firm upon the traverse, the sirat.
هناك أشياء كما سمعتم من الشيخ بارك الله فيه من عالم الملكوت.
Is that just as we've heard from Sheikh Muhammad, there are things that relate to the malakut.
وهذا عالم الملكوت لا يرى بالعين المجردة.
And the malakut, the celestial realm, is not seen with the naked eye.
وعالم الملكوت فيه نوعان، فيه نوع من الأخيار ونوع من الأشرار.
And in relation to the malakut is that it's two types, one that relates to the people of good and the other to the people of evil.
فعالم الملكوت من الأخيار عالم الملائكة الكرام وأرواح الأنبياء والصديقين.
And so when we speak of that celestial realm in relation to the people of good, it is where the purified spirits of the prophets and the angels and the good people are.
وما عداهم عالم الجن والشياطين.
But it also is in relation to the people of evil, that the realm of the shayateen, of the demons and the jinn.
إنهم يراكم هو وقبيله من حيث لا ترونهم.
That indeed he and his hosts see you from whence you do not see him.
فهنا يأتي دور السواك. نتكلم على سنة واحدة كيف لها أثرها في عالم الملكوت.
So that we're speaking now in this sense how that one sunnah of our Prophet ﷺ can have an effect in the celestial realm.
الشيطان يأتي للإنسان عند نومه ويقظته وبيت الخلاء وخروج من المنزل ووضوئه وصلاته.
So shaitan will come to someone that when they're awake, when they sleep, just before they sleep, just before they enter into the restroom, as they are leaving their home, and so forth.
فلذلك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن أوصانا أن نتسوق في هذه الأحوال الخمسة.
And also when we make wudu and before we pray, and is one of the wisdoms why our Prophet ﷺ that gave us advice to use the siwak at these times.
فلا يحتاج النبي أن يشرح لنا لماذا؟ لأنه ينبغي لنا كمؤمنين أن نقول سمعنا وأطعنا.
We're not in need, or we shouldn't be in need of our Prophet ﷺ to explain to us these details, because we should have the approach that when our Prophet tells us something and commands us to something, that we hear and obey.
قال صلى الله عليه وسلم السواك بطهارة للفم مرضاة للرب مسخطة للشيطان.
Our Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the siwak is a means of purification of the mouth, a means of attaining the divine contentment, and that it leads to the wrath of shaitan.
فلذلك إذا تسوك العبد عند نومه لم يأتي الشيطان في منامه.
And so if someone uses the siwak before sleeping, is that shaitan won't come to that person while he's sleeping.
وإذا تسوك عند وضوئه لم يأتي الشيطان في وضوئه.
And that if he uses the siwak before performing wudu, they'll be protected from shaitan during their wudu.
وكذلك الصلاة.
And the same thing takes place in relation to prayer.
فلذلك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لولا أن أشق على أمتي لأمرتهم بالسواك.
And this is why our Prophet said, were it not to be that I didn't want to impose difficulty upon my ummah, I would have commanded them to use siwak.
هذا مثال من الأمثلة.
This is just one example.
فلذلك العبد الذي وصل إلى تمام العبودية لا يناقش كثيرا في مسائل عالم الملكوت.
And this is why that someone who reaches the higher degrees of iman is that he's not in need of knowing what these secrets are necessarily, that from the realm of the celestial realm.
لأن الله سبحانه وتعالى يقول عن وصف هؤلاء المقربين المؤمنين وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا.
Allah Ta'ala describes this group of righteous people who are close to Him. They say, سمعنا وأطعنا, we hear and we obey.
والمولى سبحانه وتعالى يقول في أول سورة في القرآن وفي أول وصف من أوصاف المؤمنين ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين إيش يؤمنون بالغيب. بعدين قال ويقيمون الصلاة.
And then Allah Ta'ala says in that towards the beginning of the Quran and that second chapter of the Quran after Alif Lam Mim, and that this is the book in which there is no doubt and it is guidance for the people of taqwa. And then the first description of them is what? Is that they are those who believe in the unseen. They believe in the unseen, and then is that they are those that perform the prayer.
ما علاقة هذا العلم بقول الله تبارك وتعالى يؤمنون بالغيب؟
So what is the connection between this knowledge and the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they believe in the unseen?
هو علم يجعل في قلبك علم اليقين وعين اليقين وحق اليقين.
This is the knowledge that gathers in your heart these three stages of certainty, the knowledge of certainty, the eye of certainty, and the truth of certainty.
نحتاج إلى هذا العلم وخاصة في آخر الزمن.
We need this knowledge especially in the end days, in the last times.
لأنه يكثر في آخر الزمن المشككون ودعاة الإلحاد والعياذ بالله تبارك وتعالى أنه يقول لك كيف تؤمن بشيء أنت لا تراه.
Because towards the end of time is that there will be many people that are calling to disbelief and that atheism.
فلم يعلموا أن هناك كما أن في الوجه بصر كذلك في الباطن بصيرة فالبصر عين الوجه والقلب والبصيرة عين القلب.
And so they will say, how can you believe in something that you do not see? But these people do not realize is that there are two different types of eyes. You have the physical eye whereby which you see things outwardly, but then you have the eye of the heart whereby which you can see things from the unseen.
فهذا العلم يهيئ العبد أن يصل إلى مرتبة يؤمنون بالغيب.
This is the knowledge that is a means for someone to move up in the degrees of this description of those who believe in the unseen.
هذا العلم ربما لم يشتهر باسم التصوف ولكن انتشر ما بين القرون التي نقلت لنا هذه الأحاديث وهذه الأسانيد لا يخلو في أسنادها رجل إلا وهو من أهل التصوف.
And so that even though as at various times that this knowledge is referred to as being the knowledge of the people of Tassawwuf, but the reality of it is that all of these different chains of narration that we find, we will always find one of these people in the chains of all of these different sciences.
يقول هنا الحبيب عبد الرحمن بن محمد السقاف هذا كلام عظيم جدا.
Is that we see here in the statement of that Imam Abdul Rahman al-Saqqaf.
يقول كل علم بلا عمل باطل. أي
all knowledge without action is meaningless.
باطل ماذا؟ باطل نفعه.
Meaning that it won't truly be of benefit.
يعني مثلا شخص يقلد إنسانا يصلي رفع يديه وركع وسجد فعل مثل ما يفعل فعلا وقولا قال الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده سمع الله. طيب فعمله هذا باطل. لماذا؟ لأنه لم ينوي الصلاة وإنما أراد أن يقلد هذا الإنسان في حركاته وصلاته. فصاحب هذا العلم ينوي بعبادته ماذا؟ التقرب إلى الله عز وجل باتباع النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
So that we see, for example, is that we're someone to just emulate someone that is praying. Is that when they do the takbir to ihram, they do the takbir to ihram. When they stand, they stand. When they move, the movements of prayer, they also do the same movements of prayer. But if they neglected the intention, is that the reality would not be the same as that other person praying because they didn't make the intention. As opposed to someone that made the righteous intention to draw near to Allah through this prayer by following the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
يقول وكل علم وعمل بلا نية هباء.
And he says that all knowledge and action without intention is worthless.
مثلا شخص توضأ فقيل له لماذا توضأ؟ قال لكي أصلي. فقيل له لماذا تصلي؟ قال لكي أسقط الفرض الذي علي. نقول هذه ليست نية تقرب. ما هي نية التقرب؟ أتوضأ لكي أتهيأ لتعظيم الله في الدخول في حضرة القرب من الله لكي أنال شرف الدخول في الحضرة. هذه هي النية الصادقة والمقصود من الصلاة.
So we see, for instance, that were someone to perform wudu, to prepare for a prayer, and were someone to then ask that person that, what did you intend by performing this wudu? Is that if they were honest with themselves, they would see that I just performed this wudu in order to just pray so that no longer would prayer be an obligation upon me. This is not a truly righteous intention. As opposed to someone else, were you to ask them that, why did you perform your wudu? Is that they said that I would then perform my wudu to prepare myself to have the honor of entering into the divine presence so that I could exalt my Lord and worship Him properly. That with that intention, this would indicate that this was a sincere and truthful person.
وكل علم وعمل ونية بلا موافقة سنة مردود.
And all knowledge, action, and intention not in accordance with the sunnah is rejected.
لماذا؟
Why is this?
لأن الإنسان إذا عمل وعلم وعمل ونوى ولكن بدون موافقة لشرع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مردود، لأن الله عز وجل أصلا أرسله إليك ليعرفك لكي تتعرف على ربك من خلاله. فمن أنت حتى تتقرب الله بعمل دون أن تعرف المطلوب منك من هذا العمل إلا عن طريق النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And so why would this be the case? Is that the only reason that Allah Ta'ala sent the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so that we could know how to get close to Him and the way to draw near to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we just that don't have it, we choose from our own whim the way that we want to draw near to Allah, is that in this sense it will be rejected by not following the sunnah, because that defeats the whole purpose of Allah sending our Prophet.
ولذلك عندما نصلي نحن لا يسمح لأحدنا أن يتكلم مع غير الله إلا إذا جلس للتشهد فإنه يسلم على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فيقول السلام عليك، هذه تحية منك للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، ثم تقول اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد، تطلب من الله أن يصلي عليه الصلاة التي تليق به.
And so that we see that in the prayer it is impermissible for us to speak to any people that directly in the prayer except the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is that in the tashahhud is that we say in the second person that peace be upon you, O Messenger of Allah.
وكل علم وعمل ونية وسنة بلا ورع خسران.
And all knowledge, action, and intention in accordance with the sunnah but without scrupulousness is loss.
طيب هو يقول اتبع النبي في سنته، نقول اتبعته في سنة الظاهرة، لكن هل اتبعته في نيته وقلبه صلى الله عليه وسلم؟
So that it was said to us is that we should follow the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, and then if we follow him outwardly, but did we follow him also at the level of the intention?
لذلك قال أحد مشايخنا أظن حي أحمد بن حسن العطاس قال ما معنى أجمع النيات وأحسنها، اللي واحد ما يعرف ينوي في عباداته يقول ينوي نويت اتباع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في صلاتي في ركوعي في سجودي في دعواتي، حتى في قوله إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين تدخل في دعوة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And so this is why one of the Imams, perhaps it was Imam Ahmed Hassan al-Attas, as that he said the most comprehensive intentions that someone can make is that whatever it is that they do, whether in relation to the prayer or otherwise, is that every step of the prayer is that you intend to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
إذن خلاصة هذه الصفة أن علمهم مرتبط بكتاب السنة، فكانوا أسلافنا يقررون كتاب الفقه معه كتاب بداية الهداية، مثلا الرسالة الجامعة أو متن أبي شجاع بجانبه بداية الهداية، كتاب العمدة، عمدة السالك بجانبه منهاج العابدين من الغزالي على سبيل المثال، منهاج الإمام النووي بجانب إحياء علوم الدين، يمشيان معا. من تفقه ولم يتصوف فقد إيش؟ ماذا قال الإمام مالك رضي الله تعالى عنه؟ من يعرف العبارة؟
Who has memorized this?
لا، من تفقه فقد تفسق. بارك الله فيك. من تفقه ولم يتصوف فقد تفسق، ومن تصوف ولم يتفقه فقد تزندق، ومن جمع بينهما فقد تحقق.
And it is for this reason that our teachers, every time that they would read a book of fiqh that deals with the sacred law, they would also read a corresponding book of tasawwuf. And so in some of the early books like Risalat al-Jami'ah and the Matan Abi Shuja', they would read along with it Imam al-Ghazali's work Bidayat al-Hidayah. When they would reach the book, the Umdat al-Salik and Shafi'i fiqh, they would read alongside it the Arba'een, al-Asl of Imam al-Ghazali. When they would reach the Minhaj al-Talibin of Imam al-Nawawi, they would read alongside it the Ihya al-Ulumuddin. And so they would go step by step reading books of fiqh and along with them books of tasawwuf. And then he mentioned the famous statement of Imam Malik, which is an extremely precious statement. Whoever learns fiqh and does not learn tasawwuf is that they're at risk of being a fasiq, that is a corrupt Muslim who hasn't fully internalized this deen. And whoever learns tasawwuf without learning fiqh, they run the risk of becoming heretical, of that doing things or believing in things that are not justified by the sacred law. But whoever joins between that the outward and the inward fiqh and tasawwuf is that they've realized the true nature of this deen.
والمقصود من تفقه ولم يتصوف فقد تفسق، بمعنى أن بعض الناس يستخدم هذا العلم لأغراض في نفسه، فيؤدي ذلك إلى الأخذ بما تهواه نفسه من أقوال العلماء، فيكون في ظاهره متبعا لأقوال العلماء، لكن في حقيقته متبعا لأهوائه، فيدخل في الفسق والعياذ بالله.
And what is meant by the first part of this statement of Imam Malik, whoever learns fiqh but does not learn tasawwuf runs the risk of being a fasiq, is that they won't have purified intentions such that they might have ulterior motives in relation to their knowledge, is that they might try to find opinions that are not for people's best benefit, rather relates to something of their lower desires.
ومن تصوف ولم يتفقه قرأ علوم الحقائق، كتب مثلا ابن عربي، فصوص الحكم، كتب الإمام الجيلي وغير ذلك اللي تتكلم في علوم الحقائق. هذه إذا كانت بدون إذن من الشيخ فلا ينبغي لأن تؤدي إلى الزندقة. وما معنى الزندقة؟ الزندقة هو أنه يخرج من حكم الشريعة إلى حكم الإلحاد والكفر والعياذ بالله، حتى يقول أنا خلاص ما يحتاج أصلي ولا يحتاج أنني أقرأ قرآن، وأنا ما يحتاج أحج ولا تسمعون من هؤلاء الناس والعياذ بالله عز وجل. وربما يحفظ عبارات أهل التصوف ويضحك على كثير من الناس والعياذ بالله تبارك وتعالى. هذه هي الزندقة.
And so the second part of the statement where he says that whoever learns tasawwuf but doesn't learn fiqh is that they run the risk of falling into heresy, is that if someone, for instance, reads some of the books that are of, for instance, Shaykh al-Akbar, Shaykh Muhyiddin al-Arabi, or Shaykh al-Jili, without permission of a teacher, it very might be that they have a misunderstanding of something that they said that would take them into a state of disbelief. Because of that misunderstanding, one of those things might be something like thinking that somehow that they aren't required to pray or to fast or to perform the Hajj or something of this nature, that their legal responsibility has been lifted from them, and this would of course be something that is very dangerous.
يقول هنا في آخر العبارة يخشى على صاحبه عند المقاصة، أي القصاص هو الموازنة أي الميزان، ذهابه أي ذهاب علمه وعمله ونيته والعياذ بالله عز وجل.
And so we see at the end of the statement of Sheikh Abdul Rahman Al-Saqqaf, it says, it is feared for the person that at the time of compensation and weighing, that is when their acts are weighed and that when rights are given to others, that it will come to nothing. In other words, is that all of the acts that they've done, the intentions that they've made, and the knowledge that they had, is that they won't seek the fruit of it.
المقاصة يؤتى بصاحب العمل فينظر إلى أعماله صلاة صوم قرآن ذكر فيقول الله له هذه الصلاة فيها رياء ما نقبلها، هذا الذكر فيه نفاق ما نقبله، هذه العبادة قلبك فيه كبر ما نقبله، فيكون مردودا والعياذ بالله تبارك وتعالى.
And so the muqasa, which I actually translated incorrectly, here translated as compensation, is that where our acts will be shown, that our acts will be scrutinized. And that, for instance, that if we recited the Quran or we prayed, is that it will be said to us is that this time that you recited Quran, that you didn't do it for the sake of Allah. That here, that you didn't have the proper intention. And so that it will be related to that the defects of the various acts of worship that we performed.
إذن أهمية هذا العلم يظهر أثرها عند المقاصة يوم القيامة.
So the importance of this knowledge will come clear when this muqasa, when this compensation takes place on the Day of Judgment.
والعياذ بالله تبارك وتعالى.
And that we seek refuge in Allah تبارك وتعالى.
يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم.
On that day, children nor wealth shall benefit except he who comes to Allah with a whole heart.
لهذا اهتم أصحاب هذا العلم بتنقية القلوب وتصفيتها.
It is for this reason that the people of this knowledge is that placed that great importance upon purification of the heart.
وهي السمة الثانية التي يتحدث عنها شيخنا الحبيب في هذا الكتاب.
And that this is then the second trait is that our teacher Sayyid Habib Umar spoke about.
أسئلة نطرح الأسئلة فصل الأسئلة كما تحب في الناحية الأولى.
مرحبا. So is there any questions on this first trait of the trait relates to the Kitab and the Sunnah?
The Sheikh has spoken about how deep you can go within Tassawwuf. And so how deep do you have to go within fiqh to still be able to tread this spiritual path? Do you have to try to become a scholar of fiqh, or can you just kind of learn what you have to learn and then really dive deep into this science?
تمام. أنت ذكرت قول سيدنا الإمام مالك بالنسبة للشطر الثاني هذا ومن تصوف ولم يتفقه. فهو يقول يعني ما هو القدر الواجب إذا الإنسان أراد أن يعني يتغول في التصوف، يعني هل بس يحتاج مثلا يتعلم الفرد عين أو لازم يكون من العلماء؟ يعني هل مثلا هناك على قدر التوغل في التصوف لازم التوغل في الفقه أو يكفي مثلا المبادئ؟ نعم، سؤال طيب. بالنسبة لعلم التصوف هذا ليس فيه حد كما يقال للتوغل فيه، إنما المقصود نهاية التصوف أن يكون العبد في عبادات كلها ليس له مقصد حقيقي ظاهر وباطن أولا وآخر إلا الله تبارك وتعالى.
So he's just giving us the correct understanding of how we should understand the word tasawwuf. Is that what is really meant by that is that whatever it is that we do, any form of worship, is that the only intention that we have in the beginning and the end, outwardly and inwardly, ultimately, is to attain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
ثم هذا العلم من حيث التلقي نعم قد يكون له شيء من يعني الحد المعين، ما وراء ذلك يتوقف على استعداده الباطني وثباته وصدقه في أن يواصل السير كما ذكرنا في الدرس الأول اللي هو السالك الواصل. فإذا وصل إلى حد أنه لا يخطر على باله ولا قلبه إلا الله، هذا يعتبر قد وصل إلى تمام هذا الطريق. هذا يحتاج إلى جهد.
So he's differentiating ultimately between learning the science of Tassawwuf as a knowledge and then that experiencing its reality. And he is saying is that it might be that there's a certain amount that we learn in relation to the science of Tassawwuf, but then that the real affair gets back to that our internal isti'dad, which is our preparedness, our spiritual preparedness, is that to what degree that are we going to, that continually traveling the path, remain firm upon that traveling of the path, and that if we continuously travel the path, just as that we, that said is that the true Sufi is the one who has arrived. They are the ones that have traveled the path and have arrived and actualized the science from within, is that ultimately someone could reach the state where is that no thought other than drawing near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala crosses their heart.
ذلك يقول قائلهم يخاطب الحضرة الإلهية عيني لغير جمالكم لا تنظر وسواكم في خاطري لا يخطر.
And that this is why one of them said when they reached this lofty station is that we're speaking about this blessed presence, is that my eye to other than your beauty will never gaze, and that no thought other than a thought of you will ever come to the heart.
يقول الإمام الحداد الله أكبر.
Imam Haddad that said that Allahu Akbar,
هذا جمال الحي هذا جمال الحق قد تجلى ولم يكن محجوب قبل كلا.
is that the beauty of the truth has that manifested, and that know from even before that it was never veiled.
الله يطهر قلوبنا وإياكم إن شاء الله.
He said that may Allah Ta'ala purify all of our hearts.
القلب مثل هذا الزجاج.
The heart is like these windows.
هو حجاب لكنه لطيف.
It is a veil, but it is a subtle veil.
لا يمنع الرؤية.
It doesn't prevent you from seeing,
لكن لا تستطيع أن تخترقه.
but you can't pierce through it.
ولا تسمع أصواتا من خلفه.
And nor can you hear sounds from beyond it.
وهذا الجدار حجاب كثيف.
But whereas the wall, for instance, is another type of veil, but a thick veil.
فإنك لا ترى ما وراءه ولا تسمعه.
Because you can't see what is behind it, nor can you hear.
فلذلك قال الله أكبر هذا الحق قد تجلى ولم يكن محجوب قبل كلا.
And this is why he said is that the beauty of the truth has manifested, and that know from before that it was never veiled.
نحن كمسلمين الذي ولد في الإسلام كم تكبيرة كبرها في صلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر في قيامه في ركوعه في انتقالاته الله أكبر. لو صدق أحدنا وصفى قلبه مع تكبيرة لا كشف له الحجاب.
As how many of us have been Muslim from the time that we were born, and how many times have we said Allahu Akbar, and how many prayers have we said Allahu Akbar, and how many different movements have we said Allahu Akbar, where one of us to have the trait of truthfulness and to be sincere in one of our Allahu Akbars is that the veil could be removed.
حدثني بعضهم قال صليت في مسجد.
Someone I know that told me the following, that I prayed one time in a masjid.
قال طبعا حدثني عن شخص آخر.
He was telling him about someone else that he knows.
قال فجاء في الصف رجل يبدو أنه من بلد الصومال.
Is that there came someone to stand in the ranks of prayer, that apparently he was from Somalia.
فعندما وقف في صلاته كبر التكبيرة يقول الله أكبر ثم أعاد الله أكبر ثم أعاد الله أكبر 7 مرات.
Is that when before entering into the prayer, when he said the takbirat ihram, he said Allahu Akbar. And then he repeated it again, Allahu Akbar. And he did this 7 times until finally Allahu Akbar, and he remained in the prayer.
فعندما انتهى من الصلاة قال يا هذا أتوسد في صلاتك كبر تكبيرة واحدة وخلاص.
So then someone commented to this person afterwards that when you enter into the prayer, just say Allahu Akbar 1 time and don't have this waswasa.
قال لست موسوسا ولكن قال بصفاء قلب قال أنتم ما شاء الله مؤمنون أنتم أول تكبيرة إذا كبرتم رأيتم الكعبة قال وأنت ترى الكعبة قال أراها بعد 7 تكبيرات.
He said that mashallah, you all Muslims, he said as soon as you say Allahu Akbar, you must see the Kaaba. He says sometimes it takes me up to 7 times before I see the Kaaba and then enter into the prayer.
هذا سبحان الله كشف له كم بيننا الآن هنا وبين الكعبة كم مسافة؟
So for this person, the Kaaba was unveiled, and he's just saying that between us right now, what is the distance between us and the Kaaba?
فلما صفى قلبه كبر التكبيرة السابعة فكشف له حجاب.
That when he was sincere at the level of the heart, is that he said Allahu Akbar, and the Kaaba appeared before him.
لكن لا يأتي أحدكم يعمل مثله يقول 7 تكبيرات.
He said that don't let one of us should come to the prayer and just keep saying Allahu Akbar until we see the Kaaba.
هذا إنسان غلب عليه حال فلا يقتدى به.
Is that this person had an overwhelming state, and it's not something that we follow.
يقولون لا تقتدي بشيخك في آخره بل اقتدي بشيخك في أوائل سلوكه وسيره.
They say that don't try to truly follow your sheikh when he's at the higher degrees of at the later stages of the path. Rather follow him when he the way that he was in the beginning of the path.
إن بعض المريدين يشوف شيخه في آخر عمره ما شاء الله أحوال ومقامات وهكذا يريد أن يعمل مثله. نقول لا، أول شيء شوف إيش ماذا كان يعمل. الإمام حداد كان في سن الصبا كان يصلي 300 ركعة في مساجد تريم كل يوم صباحا.
So people will see the way their teachers might be at the end of the path and think that they can somehow be like them or follow them in that. He said, but no, look at the way that they were to get where they were, to how they got there, and to follow them in relation to what they did before. And then he mentioned the example of Imam Haddad, is that he would pray up to 300 rak'ahs in some of the masajid in the mosque of Tarim when he was a young man.
الله يكرمنا وإياكم بذلك. بسم الله نقرأ. كيف الوقت؟ في وقت.
باقي تقريبا 10 دقائق.
كما تشوف أحد عنده
ناخذ السؤال الآخر.
طيب
أو تريد تبدأ بالأسئلة الثانية؟
نبدأ
أو يعني ناخذ هذا غدا أسئلة.
غدا كم
Okay, I think if there's any other questions, maybe Amma, let's go to. We'll come back to you, Amma. We've got to go. We've got to be fair here. We'll go one of the sisters' side, and then we'll come back.
Assalamu alaikum. Earlier on you mentioned that if any act that is done without an intention would come to nothing, without proper intention. However, I guess many of us are in a state of heedlessness to a certain extent when we do make our intentions, and so how would that work out? Because I think a lot of us are not at that level and not at that state. And is it better for a person who how is it? I mean, for someone who doesn't really feel sincere when they make when they're about to do any ibadah, but they know that it's something that they need to do. Thank you.
So in other words, is that apparently this type of statement seems to be a very lofty thing. So for those of us, how can we make sure to always have an intention, and how do we go about doing that in all of everything we do? Is that really what you're asking?
I guess I'm asking about people who are not in that higher level of state, just the regular people, who are struggling, and they they know they need to do their ibadah, they want to do their ibadah, but they're not at that level where their intention is probably in as sincere as it should be.
فكان تسأل عن يعني كان الكلام الإشارة خوفها شوي، يعني إذا نحن بنقول كل علم عن بلا نية هباء، كان خوفها يعني نحن ناس عاديين ونحن في الغفلة، وكيف ننال يعني هذه المرتبة إذا هل كل أعمالنا كلها يعني هكذا، يعني كيف نحن نحتاج تصفية، كيف نتصفى إلى أن نصل إلى هل إشارة السؤال.
نعم صحيح، أنا أتفق معك أن هذا شيء مخيف.
He says that he's in agreement with you that this is something that is, kind of scary to think about this reality, that we could be doing things and we don't get the benefit of them.
وهذا هو المطلوب، أن يكون العبد مع عبادته يخاف من عدم القبول.
But this is the way that a servant should be. We should be in constant fear that the worship that we do is not accepted. That's actually a healthy, good sign.
قالوا علامة القبول هو الخوف من عدم القبول.
They actually have said is that the sign of acceptance is actually having the fear in the heart that what we did was not accepted.
وعلامة الإخلاص هو الخوف من الرياء.
And the sign of sincerity is that we actually have fear that we're not sincere.
وعلامة حسن خاتمة الخوف من سوء الخاتمة.
And the sign of a good seal is actually that we fear having a bad seal.
لابد أن نخاف.
We have to fear these things.
لكن خوف مع رجاء.
But we combine hope along with that fear.
خوف مع حسن ظن بالله.
Fear along with having a good opinion of Allah.
هذا الخوف الذي في قلبك لو وضع في ميزان لرجح إن شاء الله تعالى.
Is that this worry and fear that is in the heart, in your heart, is that when it's placed in the scales, that in and of itself will outweigh that a lot of things that we do.
الله الله الله. الحمد لله على فضله. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أخبرنا عن امرأة من بني إسرائيل كانت بغية وسقت كلبا فغفر الله لها. الحديث معروف. غفر الله لها ليست لأنها سقت قلبا، غفر الله لها للرحمة التي نزلت قلبها، فكانت تلك الرحمة غطت على سيئاتها كلها فغفر الله لها بذلك.
So the story about the woman that our Prophet informed us of that was from Bani Israel is that whom Allah Ta'ala forgave, and she was an impudent woman as a result of her that giving water to a dog. He said is that actually the reason that Allah forgave her was not because she gave the water to the dog. It was actually the source of that, which was the mercy that she had in her heart towards that dog. And as a result of that mercy, it was so great with Allah Ta'ala that wiped out all of her other sins.
أبشركم أن الله عز وجل من كرمه ورحمته ينظر إلى صحيفة العبد، فإذا أراد أن يكرمه نظر إلى أحسن عمل عمله، فإذا وجده قبله وضاعفه حتى يغطي سيئاته كلها.
He said is that he wants to give us a glad tidings to think of things in the following way. This reality is that when our actions are shown to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He wants to honor one of His servants, is He will look at everything that the servant did, and that He will, that subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that as a result of the best things that we ever did, is that multiply the reward of those things, that such that is that that act or acts outweigh all of the other things that we might have done wrong.
لذلك يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى أولئك الذين تقبل عنهم أحسن ما عملوا ونتجاوز عن سيئاتهم.
And this is why Allah Ta'ala says is that they are the ones who Allah Ta'ala accepted the best of what it is that they did, and that overlooked is that their evil deeds.
سؤال أنا أسأله لكم وأجيب عليه. ترى ما هو العمل البسيط بحيث لو عمله العبد قبله الله عز وجل فصار أحسن أعماله حتى يقبله الله تبارك وتعالى.
So he's posing a question, and then he's going to give us the answer. Is that if we would think about what are the easiest things that we could do, the smallest of things that we could do, the easiest things that we can do, is that when we do it, that then it will put us in a position where Allah Ta'ala could accept it.
إذا كان هذا العمل فيه أدب مع الله سبحانه وتعالى.
Is that it is any act that we do that combines with it proper adab, proper comportment and etiquette, like having ta'aleem and a true proper exaltation.
أعطيكم مثال.
So I'll give you an example.
صحابي عاش في الإسلام 8 سنوات فقط.
There was a companion who was only lived 8 years as a Muslim.
عندما توفي اهتز لموت عرش الرحمن.
And so when he died, is that the throne of the All-Merciful shook.
عرفتموه؟
He says, you all know who that is?
أسلم وكان عمره 30 سنة.
So he became Muslim when he was 30.
واستشهد وكان عمره 38 سنة.
And he was martyred when he was 38.
يعني عمره في الإسلام 8 سنوات فقط.
8 years as a Muslim only.
عندما توفي اهتز لموت عرش الرحمن.
When he died, the throne of the All-Merciful shook.
هو سيدنا سعد بن معاذ.
And it was Sayyidina Sa'ad bin Mu'adh.
طيب من أفضل سيدنا أبو بكر الصديق أم سعد بن معاذ؟
Who was better, Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq or Sayyidina Sa'ad bin Mu'adh?
سيدنا أبو بكر الصديق أكيد.
Of course, Sayyidina Abu Bakr.
طيب لماذا لم يهتز لموت سيدنا أبو بكر الصديق عرش الرحمن؟
So why did the throne shake for the death of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq?
ما العمل الذي عمله سيدنا سعد بن معاذ جعل عرش الرحمن يهتز؟
What was the act that Sayyidina Sa'ad did that was a means for the throne of the All-Merciful to shake?
في يوم بدر عندما النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أشيروا علي أيها القوم أيها الناس.
On the day of the Battle of Badr, when the Prophet ﷺ said, is that, you guess you could say, speak to me, people. He wanted to hear from them.
تكلم المهاجرون وأحسنوا.
So the migrants, the muhajirun, spoke well.
ثم أكرر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أشيروا علي أيها الناس.
And then the Prophet that said something that would essentially mean that he wanted to hear that from others as well.
سيدنا سعد كان موجودا.
And Sayyidina Sa'ad was present.
كأنك تعنينا يا رسول الله أي معاشر الأنصار.
And he says, as if that you want us to say something, you are meaning by that us, O Messenger of Allah, the Ansar, the helpers.
قال نعم.
And the Prophet said, yes.
هنا ملاحظة الفهم عن الله ورسوله. كيف تفهم من الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم كأنك تعنينا.
So here, look very closely, is that Sayyidina Sa'ad had an understanding. This is what is called having understanding, true understanding of Allah and His Messenger.
قال نعم فتكلم كلام جميل وقال يا رسول الله إن قد عاهدناك وإن قد صبر في الجهاد ولو استعرضت بنا هذا الوادي أو هذا البحر اللي استعرضناه معك ولخضناه معك وأحبب من أحببت وأبغض من أبغضت وخذ من مالنا ما تحب ولن نقول لك شوف هذا لن نقول لك كما قال بنو إسرائيل لموسى اذهب أنت وربك فقاتلا إنا هنا قاعدون بل اذهب أنت وربك فقاتلا إننا معكما مقاتلون. قال الصحابي الرؤوف فسر وجه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حتى كأن الشمس تجري في وجهه صلى الله عليه وسلم من شدة الفرح.
So when Sayyidina Sa'ad spoke, that he said a number of very beautiful things, and that mentioned and reaffirmed the covenant that they had taken with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how if they were going to go into battle, is that they were going to go into battle with him, as it were even to traverse the ocean, that they would traverse the ocean with him. And he said, and it reassured the Prophet that they would not respond to him the way that Bani Israel responded to Moses. when they said, "Go, you and your Lord, and both of you fight, that we are remaining here." He says, rather, that we will say to you that if you go fight, we will go with you, and that we will never ever let you down, and that take from our wealth, and that what you take from our wealth, and leave what you wish, what you take is that more beloved to us. And as a result of all these beautiful things that he said, is that the face of the Prophet ﷺ became filled with joy.
هذا هو فرح منه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقبل الله ذلك له فصار هذا العمل أحسن أعماله.
And so that this is the reason that the throne shook, because he was the means of this intense happiness of our Prophet ﷺ. And as a result that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala that gave him this special prophet.
إذا أفرحت قلب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Is it because he brought happiness to the heart of our Prophet ﷺ?
ولا شك أنه يفرح بهذا المجلس وبهذه الدورة إن شاء الله.
He said that there's no doubt that he will be happy with this gathering and with this retreat, inshallah.
اللهم وفقنا وإياكم إن شاء الله جميعا. يقول سيدنا الإمام علي لا قلة مع قبول، يعني عمل قليل مقبول يعتبر كبير.
As Sayyidina Ali said, is that no act is trivial or insignificant if it's accepted. Meaning if an act is accepted, it is something great.
أحيانا الشيطان يأتي لأحدنا يقول بتصلي ركعتين غيرك صلي 1000 ركعة، هو يقول لك لا تصلي.
So shaitan sometimes will come to one of us and say that, oh, you're going to pray is 2 rak'ahs. Other people pray 1,000 rak'ahs. What is this going to do for you?
أو إذا تصدقت بصدقة يقول لك غيرك تصدق بالآلاف.
Is it if we want to give some type of charity that no, that you're not giving much, other people give thousands.
أو يقول لك أنت لن تستفيد، هذا كلام كبير عليك ما في داعي تحضر.
Or someone might say that, oh, this is that too lofty of speech, so there's no reason for you to attend because you can never implement it.
أسأل الله عز وجل أن يبعد عنا الشياطين كلهم.
We ask Allah Ta'ala to ward off all shayateen from us.
في خير وعافية. حياكم الله. سؤال آخر.
Let's take one more and then we'll pray Salat al-Asr. عمو عنده طلب آخر؟ عمو.
سيدي الحبيب، أنا أظن سمعت سؤال أخونا شهريار وفهمت منه شيء آخر،
وهو
كأني فهمت أنه قال أن كي نتحقق لابد لنا من أن نتصوف ونتفقه. هو قال ما هو الحد الأدنى من التفقه حتى نصل إلى هذه التحقق؟ هل يجب أن نكون علماء أم يكفي أن نتعلم شيء بفقه معين؟
نعم، الحد الأدنى في الفقه في العلم الشريعة أم في علم التصوف؟ بالفقه. نعم. بالنسبة الحد الأدنى فيما تتوقف عليه صحة العبادات. الفقه كبير في فقه العبادات، في فقه المعاملات، في فقه الجنايات، في فقه الأحوال الشخصية. المسلم غير مطلوب أن يقرأ هذا كله. مطلوب إذا هو قام بالعبادة أو قام بالمعاملة لابد أن يتعلم حكم العبادة في صلاة في صوم. أراد أن يتزوج يعرف أحكام الزواج، أراد أن يتاجر يعرف أحكام البيع والشراء والربا. هذا هو الذي يتعلمه الحد الأدنى فيما تصح به العبادة ظاهرا. وأما علم التصوف فيما تصح به العبادة أو فيما تقبل به العبادة باطنا. وكنا سابقا في جلسة في بيت الشيخ يحيى قلنا الفقهاء ينظرون إلى صحة العبادة بينما أهل التصوف ينظرون إلى هل قبلت أم لم تقبل. ممكن إنسان يتوضأ وضوء صحيح يصلي بالأركان والشروط يستر العورة ومستقبل قبلة ولكن صلاته مقبولة، ما الفائدة؟ فيش هناك خلل في القلب. فهم يريدون هذا، أن تكون صلاتك صحيحة وأن تكون عبادتك مقبولة عند الله تبارك وتعالى. فاللهم اقبلنا إن شاء الله. سامحنا.
So, Amal Tarif was based upon what Shayar was asking. He said, is there a certain amount of fiqh that someone has to learn in order to really put the statement of Imam Malik into practice for tahakkuk? And what Habib Hussain is that what we need from the Sharia is we need to learn the amount necessary so whatever form of worship that we're doing, that it will be valid. And he brought up an important point here, and that what the faqih, the outward scholar, looks at is what needs to be in place for that form of worship to be valid. Whereas what the people of Tassawwuf look at is what needs to be there in order for the worship to be accepted. So there's a difference between the worship being valid, because someone could do everything that is needed, or outwardly is that a scholar would say, okay, that worship is valid. But there's a difference between that and having it be accepted. And so then what is needed from the science of Tasawwuf is learning enough so that we know how to be internally in relation to all of our deeds so that it can be accepted. And so that the chapters of fiqh are many. You have different breakdowns. You have that the chapters that relate to worship, the chapters that relate to our dealings, the chapter that relates to that marriage, the chapter that relates to the penal punishments. So there's different chapters of fiqh, and there's a lot of details there. The most important thing that we need in relation to fiqh is that whereby which all of our dealings in forms of worship will be valid.
بعبارة أخرى معلش في علم الفقه الحد الأدنى من العلم في أو متى نقول العبادة صحيحة إذا جمعت أركان تلك العبادة وشروطها. فلو فرضنا إنسان صلى بالأركان لكن ما لم يعمل ولا سنة من سنن الصلاة، اكتفى بتكبيرة الإحرام، اكتفى بسورة الفاتحة، اكتفى بالركوع ولم ركع ولم يسبح، سجد ولم يسبح، صلى ولم يقرأ إلا الفاتحة، طيب لم يستر إلا ما بين سرته وركبته بالنسبة للرجل. الأركان والشروط صحيحة لكن ما في سنة، ما في آداب، ما في كيف تقبل؟ فالحد الأدنى أن يأتي بالأركان والشروط، لكن إذا لم يتعلم الزيادة السنن الآداب التعظيم المحبة لن تقبل. والله أعلم.
And so he said that another way of looking at this is that there are obligations for something like the prayer, and there are conditions for its acceptance. And if someone were only to do the very, very basics, and so that in relation to the prayer, is that someone performs the prayer without performing any of the sunnah aspects of the prayer, in relation to how we dress in the prayer, in relation to what we say in the prayer, and we only do what is an obligation, and we fulfill the conditions, is that we're at risk of not having our prayer be accepted, even though it might be legally valid, according to the scholars. It is by doing the various sunnahs and having the proper etiquettes inwardly and outwardly is that we are exposing ourselves to have our prayers be accepted.
جزاكم خير. الفاتحة بالقبول وتمام كل سوء مأمول، وأن الله يجعلنا وإياكم من الصادقين والمخلصين والمقربين عند الله تبارك وتعالى. أن الله يحقق بما سمعنا وبما قرأنا لا يجعله لا يجعل حظنا من هذا الكلام مجرد لقلقة لسان ولا مجرد استماع آذان، يحققنا بكل ما قرأنا وبكل ما سمعنا. اللهم هذا الجهد وعليك التقلان ومنك الإجابة، وهذا الجهد وعليك التقلان، وإنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون، ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بك. اللهم نظرة في هذه الساعة وفي هذا المجلس إلا جعلتنا من المقبولين. اجعل لك كل واحد منا من العلماء العاملين الواصلين الصادقين الخاشعين. يا حنان يا منان يا كريم الإحسان، هذا الودود وقفنا بين يديك ووفدنا على بين يديك، فنسألك اللهم قبولا منك ورحمة منك وجودا منك وإحسانا منك ولحظة منك حتى تلحقنا بالصادقين والمخلصين يا رب العالمين. توفنا مسلمين وألحقنا بالصالحين، وحق كل واحد منا اجعله مقبولا عندك، مقبولا ذاته، مقبولا صفاته، مقبولا صفاته، مقبولا كلامه، مقبولا اسمه، مقبولا حاله، مقبولا مآله يا رب العالمين، ظاهر وباطن في خير لطف وعافية. وإلى حضرة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. فاتحة.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
جزاكم خير.
Inshallah, we'll pray Asr prayer. After Asr prayer, there's dinner. Remember to make it to the dining hall by 7:30. Parents who have children in child care, you can pick them up at the couches on the